Welcome to the Tibet Center here at 151 West 30th Street, 3rd floor. We'll begin by reciting the prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West, which you'll find on the front page of the Tibet Center website, scrolling down. By the force of the blessings of non-fallacious three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there, together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection favorable, and especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing spreading of the Victorious One's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness. May they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we hope to wish. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the Samadhi, which examines the Dharmas, called profound illumination.
And at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn to wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge, and since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear, they transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Bodhisattva. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi, praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, O son of noble family, profound transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, assurers, and gods, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One. Wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world.
Okay, so we will do a rosary of Om Mani Padme Hum. And as I said in New Jersey, Om Mani Padme Hum is the mantra of compassion. And compassion is the wish to remove the suffering of others. We can, while we're reciting Om Mani Padme Hum, and as we develop this wish to remove the suffering of others, we can imagine that we are removing it, and that as we remove it, we are assuming that suffering, we are taking it in, and we can think of a flame at our hearts that's the flame of self-cherishing. And we can think that as we breathe in all the challenges, difficulties, obstacles of others, we are extinguishing this flame of self-cherishing, and we are, as we breathe out, giving all our virtuous karma, our merit, to others in the form of white light or white nectar or whatever. And as I said, the cause of all our suffering, the cause of all our difficulties, is this self-cherishing that we possess. It is out of self-cherishing that we engage in non-virtuous behavior. It is a result of this self-cherishing that we are attached. We wish to please ourselves. We wish to protect ourselves from what challenges our happiness. We become envious of others, jealous of others. We become proud. All of those afflictive emotions which cause all of our difficulties in life stem from self-cherishing. So that flame of self-cherishing that we can visualize at our hearts is the essence of all our suffering, all our unhappiness, all our difficulties. And so this taking on the suffering of others and extinguishing this self-cherishing, we should see as benefiting those whose suffering we're removing, but benefiting us as well. And as we provide others with all of our merit, we are engaging in generosity, which benefits those who are in need of it and benefits us as well. So these are all things that you can think about instead of just saying Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. If you can think in these ways, it will greatly enhance the benefits of reciting a mantra like Om Mani Padme Hum. Okay, so we'll do a rosary of Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme. Om Mani Padme Hum. So we have been discussing ethics for the new millennium by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And here, from my notes, and please tell me if I'm correct, I believe we reached the bottom of page 41. So, we've been discussing the ways in which phenomena exist dependently. We've been, His Holiness introduced the concept of tendrel, dependent origination, and we've discussed the ways in which phenomena, all phenomena, exist dependently. We've been talking about things, and here we are beginning to apply this to ourselves, not just outside phenomena. We left, I think, that even our most cherished selves must be considered not to exist in the way we normally assume. So, this, in terms of the meditation we just did on, as we recited Om Mani Padme Hum, that self-cherishing that we view as a flame at our hearts, that we try to extinguish. So that's one form of extinguishing. The more generous we are, the more we are concerned with others, that selfless attitude in itself diminishes our self-cherishing. However, to actually uproot that self-cherishing, the root of all our problems, we have to come to recognize the actual way in which the self exists. And that's what we're going to be exploring. So, indeed, we find that if we search for the identity of the self analytically, its apparent solidity dissolves even more readily than that of the clay pot or that of the present moment. We, in the past, discussed the ways in which a clay pot exists, dependent on the materials that it's made of, dependent on the parts that it's made up of, and then whereas the pot is something concrete we can actually point to, the self is more elusive. Its identity as a construct quickly becomes evident. So, we're going to start exploring its identity. We come to see that the habitual sharp distinction we make between self and others is to some extent an exaggeration. Okay, so we've been discussing the different ways in which phenomena are broken down, are dependent, and we've been doing that in respect to things. We now will start to apply those to ourselves, and the let's say the coarsest form of dependent arising. Do you remember the three forms of dependent arising that we've been discussing?
Name and form.
Yeah.
Name, form, and a blackie.
So we can think of things existing. Sorry? Function.
Name, form, and being.
Things exist in time. Things exist. Each moment of the existence of a thing causes the next moment. So things are impermanent. And given that they are impermanent, there's not actually a thing we can point at within this momentary nature of their existence.
So then point 3 is the momentary nature of existence. Name, form, and the momentary nature of existence.
So we'll start from the coarser. You have the momentary, the impermanence of, and that's a form of dependence that is only applicable to products, to impermanent phenomena. You can't apply causation to things that, or phenomena that are not caused, right?
Okay.
So,
Yes, I agree.
and so what do we mean by impermanence?
Everything exists by imputation.
No, impermanence.
Nothing exists from its own side.
No. Sorry?
Nothing is static, unchanging, or free of, not free of change.
So things exist. Each thing that we point at is the result of the prior moment of its existence, and causes the next moment of its existence. And if we look among the parts, the prior moment, the present moment, the future moment, we can get to a point where you can not actually identify a present moment, because these moments can be subdivided and subdivided and subdivided. And so it becomes very difficult to point at a moment of existence.
Continue.
I mean, you're asking me to speak?
No, the third, yes. So what is the third?
So this is, as we are trying to break down our perception of things as existing in some kind of a permanent, solid way, to apply that breaks down the permanence that we attribute to things. Okay. And that's something we have to apply to ourselves. I am existing. I think that in the Theravadan tradition, meditators actually work to experience that momentary nature. And as I mentioned here, there are those who identify particles of time. Would you call it a particle of time or a slice, instance of time that is either a 60th of a snap of a finger or a 260th of a snap of a finger, and you notice that you are existing only in these moments of these segments of time along a continuum of time. And so if you begin to see yourself that way, and if you even go to the point of saying, as we discussed in a former class, that even that 260th of a snap of a finger of time can be subdivided into the first moment of that 260th and the second moment of that. In other words, even those segments of a 260th of a snap of a finger can be subdivided into the beginning and the end of that moment. And each of those subdivisions can be subdivided, etc. So if you are trying to hold on to a sense of self, this experience of the momentary nature of existence will begin to shake the solid belief in a permanent me. You can say, but we don't believe in a permanent me. But we may not believe in a permanent me intellectually or mentally, but we lead our lives in, I woke up this morning. I took the train to come here. I walked here from the station. And it's all the same me. While in fact, all those other moments are gone, they're finished, they don't exist. The only moment that exists is now. And if we really think about this, if we really bring this into our awareness, this sense of me is deflated, it's undermined, it begins to be sort of diffused. And that's what we're trying to do as we recognize that the sense of me is the poison, it is the cause of all our difficulties. Okay, so that's one. The second, we are made up of parts. Nothing is not subdividable. So the causal nature of each moment causing the next is one. But then even the finished product, whatever it is made up of parts. We were discussing the microphone, made up of parts. The watch is made up of a bunch of parts. So that when we think of ourselves as the mental and physical aggregates, and the word aggregate doesn't just suggest, it states clearly that each one of these parts is made up of parts that are made up of parts that are made up of parts. So I am the aggregation, I am the putting together of all these parts, physical and mental. And so this me is simply an idea based on all these parts. Yeah, that's number two.
Yes.
So again, if we really think about this, if we really come to recognize that this sense of me, and I think that if we're honest, if we really recognize, if we really acknowledge how we think of ourselves, we don't think of ourselves as a bunch of parts. We think of ourselves as being a unitary me. That me is not a bunch of parts, is it? How do you feel about yourselves? Are you a bunch of parts, or do you feel I'm me? And it's good to really recognize the way we see ourselves, and then work at attacking, work at undermining how the possibility of actually existing the way we think we exist. Okay. So that second one, that sense of me being undermined by my being made up of a bunch of parts, though the first, the impermanence, applies to impermanent phenomena, things, products. This parts aspect applies to all phenomena. So we've gone beyond the products, and this extends to all phenomena. And there's Buddhist schools of thought that consider that impermanent quality of phenomena and the impermanent quality of self is the ultimate truth. And recognizing that impermanent quality is a recognition of our selflessness. And they attribute a quality to that self which exists impermanently. There is a quality of self. It's impermanent, but there is something on some conventional level. There is something that exists. There's a quality of self that does exist. You aren't actually getting to the point of saying that self is independent or lacking any quality of true or inherent existence. This quality of being made up of parts, that level of selflessness is a little more subtle. And the schools of thought that believe that the self is made up of these parts, and our understanding of the part quality of our existence, that recognition, our dependence on our parts, is a recognition that we can't lack any kind of true existence. But they hold that the quality of existence that we do possess, because we each do exist, that there is an inherent quality of existence, whether it's for things or for ourselves. This is to specify the name of the school of philosophy we're talking about, to relate this to Buddhism, the Madhyamika Svatantrika school of thought, which attributes, as we were saying last week, when we put all the parts of the watch together, and we attribute a watchness to it. So the Madhyamika Svatantrika would say in order for there to be a watch, there has to be that quality of inherent watchness. There's no true existence. It depends on imputation, it depends on there are all sorts of qualities to it that show it to be dependent. However, in order for it to be a watch, it's got to exist inherently. And now, to apply this to ourselves, here we're saying, I'm made up of parts. I have to understand the degree to which the me is totally dependent on parts. There can't be a me without the parts. However, given that there is a me made up of these parts, that me exists inherently. This is what this school of philosophy propounds. And it's very important to go through the steps of these different philosophies. We used to have a person who came to the Tibet Center who was a senior to, I think, both Tony and me, who would say, why do we have to bother studying these lower schools of philosophy? Why don't we only discuss the ultimate school? Because it is only by understanding these other interpretations of selflessness that we can see the subtle aspects of the ultimate truth. So it's really important that we go through the impermanent quality of products, of things, the way in which things depend on parts, are a conglomeration of parts, that they exist in that form. And then you come to the ultimate school, the Madhyamika Prasangika, which says it's not, the phenomenon doesn't merely exist based on the aggregation of the parts. The aggregation of the parts are the basis for my naming such and such, such and such, so that they exist by imputation, by naming. The process of attributing an identity to something comes from the mind doing that attributing. And so it's not the parts. Things are not dependent on the parts. Things are dependent on my naming that bunch of parts such and such. So we can think of it, if we think of impermanent, the parts, and the naming, that we are, in the first case, we are considering that the phenomenon, the self, exists, has some kind of intrinsic existence within this causal quality of its existence. In the second, there is an intrinsic quality of existence among its parts, so that each of these, to a greater and lesser extent, attribute a certain quality of existence to the phenomenon itself. While in the ultimate school, full existence is designated by the consciousness designating. There is not considered to be any intrinsic, inherent, independent existence on the part of the object. So those are the steps that we go through as we work to recognize our selflessness. And those are the, we can practice by, looking at a watch and looking at a table and looking at different phenomena. As we, walking along the street, we can look at trees and we can say, that's a tree. That's a tree, and each moment of tree is the cause of the next moment of tree, and that tree exists from when you put the seed in, and it grows moment by moment by moment into the tree, and so we break down the very solid permanent treeness that we naturally attribute to the tree when we see it, but we aren't negating at that point any kind of treeness among its parts. We're simply not seeing it as the permanent tree that we usually view it as. The second, we say, well, the tree is made up of a bunch of parts, so where's the tree among the parts? The tree is the accumulation of all those parts. That's the tree. And once those parts are all together, I can call it a tree, and we name it a tree. But there is a tree there. We're not denying the treeness of what's before us. It just doesn't have the solid qualities that I had attributed to it naturally. And then we can think, actually, when you look at the tree, the branches, the trunk, all those are the basis for there being a tree there, but they are the basis for my saying that's a tree, for my thinking that's a tree. In other words, from its side, there's no tree at all. Even those parts that one could just consider make up the tree, even those don't make up a tree. They make up that which I then name a tree. So these are the steps that we can work at recognizing as we go through life. These are the different levels of perceiving selflessness that we have to eventually apply to ourselves. And relating this back to the meditation that we did at the beginning of class, that sense of self that we recognize as being the cause of all our problems, that flame of self-cherishing that we view in our hearts, that sense of self that we're trying to diminish. As I said before, we can work at diminishing it by being generous, by being compassionate, by caring about others. But to actually uproot it, to actually get rid of any notion of self, we have to come to realize that it doesn't exist. We have to realize that it cannot exist. We have to actually recognize that there is no core self among our parts. And that's something that we have to do by developing an intellectual understanding and deepening that intellectual understanding. I mean, we spend many years in the monastery debating and coming to understand these things in more and more subtle ways to eventually sit and apply this intellectual understanding in meditation, to actually come to realize, first of all, you're meant to work at developing an inferential realization, and then you deepen that with more and more concentrated focus on what you infer, this lack of self, to the point where you experience it, where it's a direct realization of that lack of self. And that changes your whole relationship to the world. That, apparently, I don't want to sound as if I've had any such realization. It's a very high realization to have, but apparently it alters your whole, we talk about nirvana or freedom from cyclic existence, and we talk about the suffering nature of cyclic existence, and we are here coming to the Tibet Center to explore the ways by which we get to a point beyond this cyclic existence. Now, it's not that we are working towards getting to a physical place. What we are working towards is transforming the way we behold the world around us. We behold ourselves. So all the work is simply one of changing our perspective, changing our way of beholding ourselves and beholding those around us. It's all an inner work, a work of changing our view. Any questions? Any comments? Please?
So when we talk about the phenomenon being made up of parts, and then you're talking about ourselves being made up of parts, ourselves we think of as being our consciousness, mostly, the body, but the mind. the consciousness. What are the parts of consciousness? Each moment, just each moment, but each moment can't be, there's no moment.
Well, yes, consciousness is
But-
momentary.
Yeah, but, so,
But we have emotions, we have, if we just look at our aggregates, we have that part of consciousness that determines this is this, that is that. We have feelings, we have eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose, we have the things that we...
all right, okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, what are others? What other kinds of consciousness do we experience? What are...
If you're a yogi, you have subtle consciousnesses, but we're not yogis, so.
I mean, where does memory come in?
So,
By
when you sit and
association.
read, you're stimulating moments of consciousness. When you think, when you're looking around, full of... Our consciousnesses are working all the time.
And how does memory fit into consciousness?
I forgot.
It's, so I don't know how memory functions. I mean, over time, we accumulate experiences which sit, whether it's within the brain or, from the Buddhist point of view, we would say that consciousness is a non-physical awareness that accompanies the physical self over the time of our lives, and our consciousnesses go from life to life with us. So how memory captures and holds on, I don't know.
It's included in mind, though.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I don't know, when you're saying you have to know all the different schools, some that are foul, not right, and some working your way to the ones that are the correct interpretation. But so when you're saying that we identify like a tree because our mind has given it a label, how does everyone agree what that label is in human society?
So, labels vary from society to society.
Yeah.
And, first of all, the names vary from country, language to language. But our perception of what something is, is that a table or is that a chair? Someone can come along and say that that's a chair, and someone else will say that that's a table. A dog will come and think that something is something else, a bone rather than it being a sculpture.
But in general, we all agree on the shape of things, whether we have the right name for it or not. Every mind is able to ascertain this thing, right? Isn't it how did? And they agree. Every mind agrees. This thing looks like, this is what it looks like, whether you have the right language for it or not.
Well, there is that moment before we have learned what something is. When we look at the parts and we try to figure it out, it's only at a point that we say, oh, that's that. Before that, it's maybe little parts that we identify, but we don't bring them together to identify. And there's a purity to that moment before we've named it, before we've apprehended it. That's a direct cognition of something, free of any kind of we are not identifying it in a certain way. We're just experiencing that which is before us.
And it could probably also be said that we're all sharing the same moment, but the same way with this stool table, we're all maybe looking at the same direction, but we're having, I don't know how many, 20 different experiences, 20 different vantage points. So when we are taking the snapshot, it's not even how it fully is, because we don't see the whole thing.
And when you say how it fully is, suggests that it has an isness that is either fully realized or not. Does it?
Not inherently, but it is manifest.
Designated.
You meant capture.
It's in a catalog somewhere.
Captured?
Remember your story of the car, all the parts, and then slowly, at one point, you put them together and it's, oh, there's a car. The same deal.
Sometimes I feel like it's like film, or like if you ever see the optical illusions of something spinning really fast and then an image appears, that we're all just spinning through this universe, and that's how it's like propped up for a second.
I remember in film school we had we saw the first, these French filmmakers, the Lumière brothers, who shot a locomotive coming towards the camera. And apparently when they showed it first, all the people ran out of the theater. So thinking about these things, I mean, we can discuss it in class, but thinking about these things in your daily life is really helpful, is really important. And we can think we can look at things and break them down, and we also have to think in terms of ourselves. So, indeed, we find that if we search for the identity of the self analytically, its apparent solidity dissolves even more readily than the clay pot or the present moment. For whereas the pot is something concrete we can actually point to, the self is more elusive. Okay, so next. This is not to deny that every human being naturally and correctly has a strong sense of I. Even though we might not be able to say why it is so, the sense of self is certainly there. We can, and it's important to start there. We can't say, oh, I don't have a really strong sense of self. I know that I am the center of the universe.
No.
Sorry?
No, I understand. Yeah.
That acknowledgement is important. We have to know how strongly we consider ourselves to be the center of this universe. But let us examine what constitutes the actual object we call self. Is it, now we're beginning to break it down in terms of the parts. Is it the mind? Sometimes it happens that an individual's mind becomes hyperactive, or it may become depressed. In either case, a doctor may prescribe medicine in order to improve that person's sense of well-being. This shows that generally we think of the mind as the possession of the self, my mind. And indeed, when we think closely, statements such as my body, my speech, my mind, all have within them an implied notion of ownership. So I own, it is my mind, my body, my speech. It is difficult, therefore, to see how mind can constitute self. Although it is true that there have been Buddhist philosophers who tried to identify self with consciousness, where self and consciousness, were self and consciousness the same thing, it would follow absurdly that the actor and the action, both the doer and what is done of knowing, are one and the same. So, in the same way that it's me and my parts, there's the doer and the doing, which we have to acknowledge are separate. We would have to say that the agent I, who knows the process of knowing, and the agent I, who knows, and the process of knowing, the consciousness, are identical. Now, the I and the process of knowing, as we go through the process of knowing, we think, I know. So the knowing is something that I identify with, but the knowing is separate from this sense of I, if the way we experience it.
What, does this mean at the formative stage? Are you
Right
talking-
now.
Oh, okay.
Every moment, always, the I and the knowing, we have to
Oh, I see.
recognize that
In order to take some, to be cognizant.
we're trying to understand the way in which we are made up of parts, mental and
Okay.
physical, and recognizing that there is this possessor of parts that we believe
Okay.
in,
That's the first
identify
reference.
with, me,
Yes.
and I am the owner of all these aspects, these parts, physical and mental. On this view, it is also hard to see how the self could exist as an independent phenomenon outside the mind-body aggregate. So either I am one with all these parts, or the parts are there and I'm here, and I'm not part of the parts. I own them, but I'm not part of them, or else I'm within them. So all the parts are me, or else the me is here and the parts are there. Either way, it doesn't work. If you really analyze, if I'm a unity, I'm one. There are not many me's, but there are many parts. If I exist inherently, and there are many parts that are me, then there would be many me's. There would be mini-me, and there would be many me.
There are split personalities.
Yes. If I am separate from the parts, if this inherently existent self is separate from the parts, then it couldn't have any relationship to the parts because it is inherently existent, therefore inherently, independently existent, and therefore separate from parts. Right? Sorry?
So we
Wait
could
a
say.
minute, question. Yeah.
So we could say that the I is existing, the I exists in the momentum of the previous moments, and this.
Floating along, growing.
I feel similar to the film analogy, like it only exists in the moment that it's moving. There's no inherent existence part of it. There's no like static piece. If you stop the frame, think of it more like you stopped it, it goes off. It's not actually off, but like because they're just moment by moment by moment. That I is just being carried along. Is that correct?
So
Like the I is the carried along.
if we say that the I exists moment by moment by moment, then each moment being the cause of the next moment, we are seeing the impermanent nature of self. And the I, if we look there, we can attribute an I that exists in this impermanent way. And that's what the lower philosophical Buddhist schools claim. It doesn't have, it has to exist inherently, truly, but it doesn't exist in a permanent fashion. That's a very important undoing of our sense of the solidity of self. Then you have the idea that it's made up, so it exists. As you step up to a more subtle view of selflessness, you're not denying that impermanent nature. You're adding a level of subtlety to your perception of what could make up the self. And you say, oh, so the self is not only existing moment by moment in that way, but it's made up of a bunch of mental and physical parts. It exists as the conglomeration of these mental and physical parts. It doesn't have any inherent, true existence, but there is an inherent independent quality of existence due to these parts.
Starting to follow, but I'm
Uh,
gonna go.
This is
let's
very
make
good,
this
the way
anyway.
you slowly.
I mean, Trump calls it the continuity of discontinuity.
Discontinuity.
The continuity of discontinuity.
Okay.
Everything is moment by moment all the time.
Yeah, so,
That's
but
that's what you mean,
the continuity of it is
is that it's,
us.
So, yeah. But then there is this third level, which is that we only exist, and phenomena only exist upon being named as such, perceived as such. So it's not even merely the continuity, it's identifying that continuity as me. That is this naming, this designation we're talking about. So it's not that we exist among the parts, and due to the fact that there are these parts, there is a me. It's that the parts only can be thought of as me because I name them as such. Phenomena exist by mere designation, mere naming. That's a sort of heavy place to end.
What page are we ending on?
42.
Okay.
names there.
No names. So So I should say that thinking about these things, simply going through the mechanics of thinking like this is really important. It's really helpful. It changes our relationship to life, to the world, to others. It's not abstract. It's not unrelated. It's the essence. We're dealing with the essence of our existence, the essence of what causes all the trouble in the world, and we're scratching away. We're undermining our clinging to a structure that is false and working towards transforming it into something that is real. Okay, so we will begin by reciting the Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to the Omniscient One.
Thus the Buddha, Bhagavad, Tathagata, Arahat, Samyak Sambuddha, learned and virtuous one, Sugata, the Lord of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavad. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who mourn with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The Holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. Teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma which is taught by the Bhagavat is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Jnana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joint palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. Complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are fully filled in merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm.
The foundation, no. So the 8 verses on training the mind. With the determination to
Accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings, who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions, I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings, and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. Others out of jealousy treat me badly, with abuse, slander, and so on. I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When one I benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my mothers. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the worldly concerns, by understanding all phenomena as life illusions, to release from bondage of attachment. Wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop, sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron rose, Guru Lozan Tuan Doje Chan. Please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the Victor Lozan's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence's end to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings, and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of Losang Tempe. Magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karma, Yama, and Srimata Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moon-like face. Bravo. Thank you, Mickey. Very good.
So next Wednesday, we will have a class in New Jersey, in South Orange at 502 North Ridgewood Road, South Orange, New Jersey, at 7 o'clock in the evening. And there's no Tara this next weekend, but the weekend after. Thank you.